So we're back with episode 11. This is the character evaluation episode, but also it starts off talking about how in the boot camp showcase coming up, which is the final test, I think, for part one of the America to Korea saga. He creates three groups to do the showcase, and so at the very beginning of the show, he announces three teams. And the first team, the A team. You imagine if you're the A team that you would be like the highest ranked team, but it seems just arbitrary, the lettering. But you have the A team, it's Camilla, KG, and Christina. They'll be performing Wonder Girls, Be My Baby. The B team is going to be Kendall, Kaylee, Savannah, and Misha. They're performing Itzy, Wannabe. And I don't know about you guys, but when I saw these four, I was like, oh, he's really not going to put another vocalist in there. Because at this point, this group is kind of vocally, I would say, challenged. And really, the only thing they've got going for them is maybe star quality. And then, I don't know. I don't think anyone but maybe one of them is known for their dance, which is Kendall, and then Savannah, I guess you could say. But yeah, vocally challenged based on the selection. In terms of the C team, what we have is Melissa, Lexi, Yuna, and Gina, and they're getting twice the feels, which is kind of like, I don't know how you can mess up that song unless you have trouble vocally, but I don't think they're gonna have trouble vocally. I think they're gonna be just fine because they have Melissa. And then in terms of the dancing, Lexi's gonna carry the group. And so, in terms of these three groups, I do have concerns about the B team, basically because of the vocal issues. In terms of the A team, they have uh, Christina in there as the strongest dancer, and Camilla and KG are like the vocal ones, and they're not lacking in any way. Uh, I think they're gonna do it. And then Wonder Girls is not even like a high pressure song for them. Whereas C team, they're kind of well balanced as well, but they have twice, and so you're either gonna have to live up to twice, or you're gonna be carried by a song that's just like so recognizable. But I feel like people might underestimate like how hard it is to pull off things at the level that Twice does it. And then the B team doing Itzy, which is kind of like a quintessential like a K-pop song by like the queens of performing. Like these guys perform live all the time, and you kind of have to pull this off, and then uh, you have people who may have struggled vocally. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about them. Uh, I don't know how he's gonna rank them. Either as a team, do they all carry the same grade, or do they just get a chance to showcase themselves individually in the group, and he still manages to like award some of them, or as a group? I don't really remember from Neezy Project or 16. But anyways, so we get past that, and what we get back to is the character evaluation. And so, in terms of the character evaluations, we find out that I think random judges and staff did evaluations on them, but then the fellow trainees within these groups also evaluate themselves, and I think maybe they had like a multiple choice or some kind of checklist where they could explain their feelings on their fellow trainees. I don't know if they all got to vote on all 11 of each other, but at the very least, they got to uh, do it within their own group. And so after that, they pull out a journalist named Jeff Benjamin. Now, I don't know who Jeff Benjamin is, and at least half of chat didn't know who he is, but half of chat did say, not Jeff Benjamin, and I don't really understand the story behind that, but I don't really have a problem with him. I don't know anything about him personally, so at the very least, I'm okay to be unbiased. And so, the first group that we get to see is half of C Team, which is Lexi and Gina. Now, if you guys know Lexi, she only has 2 stones so far, but when it came to evaluations from her teammates, she was voted best teammate, and then she was also voted most passionate by teachers. Now, I didn't realize they had teachers here. Are they really teachers, or are they just kind of like people who watch and critique and then give feedback while they're training? Because that'd be pretty cool. I think that's something that's happening now, I guess, because they're in teams. But apparently she's very sincere, very honest. Now these are things I saw about her in the first episode, and one of the reasons I've always been rooting for her. Now according to Jeff, who's the this guy, he's basically saying she brings out the confidence out of people, and maybe he got a bigger backstory based on what she said. But if you guys want to know things about these girls, this is the episode to watch anyway. So I'm not gonna have to go too in depth on that. When it comes to Gina, basically she describes herself as loving to build friendships with like-minded people and having fun on set. She explains something about her past and how she doesn't like to show her vulnerability. And for JYP, this is kind of like he said something like he doesn't see her, even though he sees her drive and her talent and ability to show up, but he doesn't see her as an individual expressing herself. And I feel like if I were to go back through my notes, I may have felt something similar, that she wasn't really like conveying herself clearly through her abilities, even though she's technically good. But anyways, apparently she's saying she doesn't like to show vulnerability. I don't know if that excuses the character part of her. Just like understanding something doesn't really say like what is she doing. Like is she gonna overcome it, or she's just kind of like letting you know so that you are aware of it, and then you're supposed to hand wave it if you know that about them. Like I don't. I wanted to see her say something like she's grown in some way, and she's learning from her teammates how to express herself more. Like she has an opportunity right now. She's with Melissa, who's like one of the most self-expressed people in the top 11 of trainees, besides maybe Kendall. She's working with Melissa, and she also with Lexi, who's one of the most sincere. So she's basically paired with people who are very like expressive, including Yuna actually, someone who's like vocally expressive. And I'm coming, and it seems like she has an opportunity here to say, I learned from these people, and this is how I'm gonna grow. So we'll see what happens to her at the end. But like, I don't really have a problem with Gina. I think she's fine. Other than that, I think JYP is kind of worrying about this stuff because he's just kind of like he's like saying, is she always gonna be like this, or is she gonna overcome it? I think it's just natural that you do change when you become more comfortable with your group. When you start to have some uh, when you spend enough time with people, you gain experience and have reliability on them. And so we'll see where that goes. But that's half of C team. We then go to the next section, which is half of B team, and here we have Misha and Savannah. And so when it comes to Misha, JYP says results wise, he said to her that she was struggling, and he basically had to ask her how she stays confident in light of that. And she basically says that, in reaction, she just wants to keep up with her fellow teammates and not be a burden. And so in that, there's some embedded information in that when she says that. In a way, she's kind of acknowledging. And here's the thing: she gave a very similar answer to Savannah, so I think it was partially beneficial that she was paired with Savannah for this, because her answer is very similar. But she's basically saying, being around teammates, she wants to keep up, not be a burden. And so she's basically acknowledging her place in the team by saying that. And saying that, yeah, I'm on this team, and I'm going to do my best not to fall behind for my teammates. And so she sees herself as a partner team. And Jeff, basically says she has sort of X factor to her. But I feel like it was kind of very vague and also kind of summarized on JYP's part as well. So it's kind of like you didn't really hear much of what JYP said about her, and then it was very short. I mean, I'm looking at my notes, and she's got the shortest notes here, so there's not a lot to be said about her. But I feel like I feel like you don't really have to let go any of the girls in the top 11 here. I feel like if you had an 11 girl member group, unless they were really failing on the skills thing and not growing, then I would say that's the only reason to not have them continue forward and continue trading. Because I feel like they're all fine. And so let's just get to Savannah. Now, Savannah, when JYP's talking to her, she has this look on her face the whole time. And, JYP, he's confused. And he's saying she's charming because she's so relaxed. but he's also aware that she's so complacent. A lot of people actually took the complacency remark as like a dig at her, when really it's just kind of like a classification of who you are. When JYP is saying it, because JYP, he wonders, hey, is this girl hungry? Is she desperate for this? She says she is because it's her dream, but then she also acknowledges that the nerves don't actually benefit her. So she is just basically saying, I'm totally in control. But from my perspective, I'm wondering, because when it came to her vocal challenge, she tried to play it safe to win. And so it's a very methodical thing, but did she really strive to show the best of herself? I would say that in this sense, JYP is asking, "Are you desperate?" And he's waiting to see her like throw everything on the table, because his idea of desperate is going to the max of what you can possibly do and gambling it. But for her, it's kind of like, what's the best strategy to win is to try to play it safe and not fail at this point. And so there's two different approaches to winning here. But for her, she's basically saying, yeah, she's just really being controlling of it. But I think JYP wants to see passion more than just to win and get a place here, but a passion to express yourself. And so when she gave her answer after that, she basically says she sees other artists and she wants to have a platform to express herself first. And so she does want to show herself, but she wants to be able to get that platform first. So she doesn't have a voice yet. And so that's one of the reasons she's not just like taking every opportunity to just like shout from the hilltops who she is, right? And she can't do typical jobs that other people do, because it's not a place where she will have that platform. And so based on that, I would say Jeff read into that and said he was optimistic about her, and he just got a sense of like, he had a vibe about her and Misha. And so I would say, yeah, that's like, I feel like that answers JYP's question about whether or not she's desperate. But I would say that she's desperate, but she's also measured in her reaction to the situation that she's in. And so that's half of B team. We don't get to see the other half of B team. We do get to see the other half of C team, which we already looked at the first half of. So in C team, we have Melissa and Yuna. And so these two girls, they're the next piece of the puzzle here for the C team that we already saw. Now, Melissa, JYP mentions her artistry and ability to, you know, sing that song about her dad, basically. And he said he's never seen anything like that. And she was basically saying she typically writes out her feelings out in music. And so she started to talk about herself a lot. And then Jeff asks at that point, he interrupts her kind of flow when she's kind of speaking very like from a personal place. He asks if she can convey a kind of group perspective, and because she seems to be used to singing alone. And I feel like, I don't know if it's the way they edited it or if it was kind of really like that, but she did seem slightly puzzled. But then she started to acknowledge she understands that being in a team, she's not really meant to stand out ahead of everybody and overshadow them. But she understands there's a hurdle to kind of communicating with them and being able to express the group's goals that she's willing to learn. And that's as far as she went there. So she didn't really have like the final answer, but you don't really expect someone to have a final answer, because this is an answer that comes from either experience or someone telling you what it's going to be like, right? And so you can't expect someone who's never sung in a group to be able to tell you everything that they learned about how to achieve the group's goals. So I feel like that was a good answer for her. And based on that, I would say if she can, she probably does need to like really think about putting herself in a team situation and conveying the goals of the songwriters, the choreographers, and all that stuff. And hopefully she'll get there. But she does seem like even though she's really good at expressing herself, she does seem like a lone wolf. And I noticed that in the first, I think it was the second episode of the dance evaluations, when she was like kind of like observing everyone, and she was the last to get off her chair to kind of go up there and kind of mingle. Then Yuna, so Yuna, JYP says that she seems like someone who was kind of just thrust into the situation, and that she wasn't prepared skillfully, or kind of like even like, I guess she didn't really expect to be there. I think the reason he's saying that is because she didn't even know that she would be there until last minute when she found out she qualified. And so JYP asks, uh, "Do you think you will make it?" And she said, "Yes." And he was shocked. Like his reaction was kind of like, "Huh?" Like he didn't expect her to be so confident. She basically told him that she's feeling more prepared and relaxed, especially working in a team, and that her fellow trainees kind of, you can tell they're giving her strength and assurance. Then they started to show stuff about her in the back, which is how she's as obsessed with bears, and how she's actually really talkative and like likes to be on the camera a little bit. And so I think like in terms of what JYP sees from her, he always sees her being a little bit timid and kind of like passive. But maybe JYP just needs to kind of learn uh, how to realize people's abilities and their qualities without them deliberately saying it. Because ultimately, I think that's why he sees Kendall so clearly, is because she does vocalize it. Whereas with Yuna, she's more reactive rather than proactive in her self-expression. And so, I this is another lesson I think that would be good for JYP, is that uh, in terms of people getting proper screen time and attention, and really this is about Misha as well. Some people need not just screen time, but also attention and opportunity, right? And so sometimes you just kind of like give them that so that they can become comfortable with expressing it in that way. And when they do, it's like who's an example of this? I would say maybe Mina from Twice. She seems like someone who's kind of like was maybe timid to some degree, but when you give her opportunities, she's like, this is my time, you know. And so some people do need attention and screen time, and it has to be very deliberate. And it has to be offered. Some people, they don't take, like, it might be a cultural thing, but some people just aren't used to just taking, and if they're not used to being that unscrupulous or opportunistic, and so that'd be good for her. But anyways, there was an abrupt end to the episode, right? And so I'm sure you noticed the cut in this video as well. But it just seemed like that was very short. But I looked at the clock and I'm like, yeah, that's 30 minutes. And so I keep forgetting this episode is not going to be an hour long like an Easy Project, which I'm also covering, by the way. And that's very interesting to show as well. It's very different seeing boys and girls comparatively. But anyways, who is a prediction for getting all 4 stones? Because in the preview, JYP basically says something about which girls will get all 4 stones. We don't know who got character stones this time around, by the way. So I thought that was interesting. That we won't know until the end of this probably evaluation. But who do we know has 3 stones so far? So we know Kaylee and Gina. And based on, we didn't see Kaylee yet, but we did see Gina talk. And I don't know if Gina really gave a satisfying answer regarding regarding how she's gonna grow from whatever it is that she has an issue with. But she basically just said, "I have this vulnerability. Like, where's the part where she overcomes it?" That would, I don't know if it's like edited out or I didn't see it, but maybe she won't be the first. Like, I'm just talking about who's the number 1 person out of the character stones to be recognized first, and she could still get a character stone. But who's gonna be the first? I'm not sure it's gonna be her. Another people with 3 are this bottom corner here: Camilla, KG, and Kendall. And so Camilla and KG, they haven't spoken yet, so I don't really know if I can comment on them. But we do know that Kendall is probably going to be the one who's expressing herself the easiest out of all of them. And just based on what you see about her being kind of like, she's an artist, but she's also kind of withdrawn. And so that there's like this there's this when you see inconsistencies in people, it's not really them being kind of like inconsistent as in both ways. There are more than two ways that conflict with each other or contradict each other. It's really that they're more complex. So she seems to be good at expressing herself, but if she's withdrawn or uh, shy or what's the word, introverted, it may not be that she's like not good at expressing herself and that's why she's introverted, or she's used to failing in some way and that's why she's introverted. It could just be that she's very introspective, and so she spends a lot of time just like kind of unfolding her own inner world. And for that reason, I feel like she could be a shoe-in for getting the first of all four character stones, maybe the best at expressing herself. But the only other people who I would wonder about with regards to can Kaylee do it? Kaylee is also a possible shoe-in for this. She could also be very good at speaking, because I noticed that she's very matter-of-factly candid about stuff, and it's kind of like in an innocent way. It's kind of like just telling you everything, whereas like some people are kind of like very guarded, and it's kind of like this mafia tactic, you know, like you never tell anyone how you feel outside of the family, you know. But she's kind of like just the youngest kid is just like, oh yeah, this ice cream is kind of like funny. Like you can tell that she's just probably very used to expressing herself. And then with regards to KG, she's an artist. She expresses herself, but a lot of people expressed that maybe KG, she's very. Someone said that she's restrained in her expression, and I would say, and I think I responded. I was saying that she's probably not used to being whatever she is, expressing herself. Like maybe she puts on a sort of facade or some kind of something. She's whoever she is, she's probably new to it to some degree. Like maybe she was used to being something else, but now she's becoming something else, or returning to becoming something that she used to be. I don't know, but maybe will still struggle with that a bit. But she could express it if she's extremely honest about it. It may be bad for her character, but it could be good for getting a character stone, because you're basically just saying, oh yeah, I'm kind of just like, I don't know, am I putting on an act? I don't know. Camilla, she seemed like she's been doing very well in the show, but she was also kind of uncertain about herself a little bit. But a lot of people are saying that Camilla has the leadership vibe. I don't get that, honestly. I feel like Christina and Lexi have the strongest leadership vibes because they're sturdy, and usually you need someone sturdy and kind of like willing to like make decisions, right? Whereas Camilla, I feel like she's kind of new to being extremely self-confident in herself, and so like just based on her addition, she was kind of uncertain, but she has been doing very well. Like to that degree, I would say she's like she could be front and center material, or kind of like put in the front. Similar to Yuna, who's also like center material. Like they could be put in front, but I still feel like Lexi or Christina would have the better leadership vibes. Just my take on it. But anyways, I guess that's it. That's the end. We didn't get to see everyone. We got to see only 6 out of the 11, and so we'll see the next ones later. Hey, did you notice that the one group is only a group of 3? It seems like they could have. I guess they couldn't have made 4 groups because they're lacking enough members. But B team, I'm really worried about. Like I said, they're vocally crippled. They also have Misha, who hasn't had a chance to shine yet. I don't know if she's going to be a burden, but she definitely doesn't want to be. But anyways, I guess that's it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.